Sean, 3 words, how'd it go?
I'm glad you went, so we have to like do it.
Hey everybody, and welcome back. I finally have some new footage. So this is the Poolesville road race. This is the 3-4 field, and we're in a breakaway. This is a breakaway of 8 riders. Well, now 7. We actually dropped somebody, and we're picking up action with less than 1 lap to go. I meant to start the camera when I crossed the line with 1 lap to go. Forgot, was preoccupied, so I started it right before the last gravel section. So this break has been going for pretty much the entire race. We actually started this towards the end of the first lap. There was a really early break in the first lap, and I was a little worried about it getting away because my friend Mike Principato on Badly was talking about how he wanted a breakaway to go. He thought his chances were better. He wanted to get in a break with me, and he was in that really early break, and I was being blocked in by NCVC riders on the front. So I was kind of nervous, but eventually we brought it back. Me and Phil in front of me kind of surged to catch that. And what ended up happening was we surged to catch that break and then ended up creating one of our own. And it so happened that all the major teams became represented in this break, and so the rest of the field sat up and slowed down, which worked perfectly for us. So at this point, with about half of the last lap, we have close to 2 minutes on the group, on the peloton. There was a moto that kept coming up and telling us the time gaps, and we kept increasing. Like every third of the lap, he came up and it was 25 seconds, then it was 45 seconds, then it was a minute. And so it was really reassuring for us. We worked really well together with rotating. We took 30 to 45 second pulls each. For me, it was slightly over threshold, which is probably the same for everybody. But now with this much left in the race, we're starting to kind of play mind games. So you could tell that we're not pulling through. We're starting to skip turns. We're starting to figure out who feels strong, who looks strong. And you could tell now by the gap that I'm letting open. I'm starting to feel it in my legs a bit. My heart rate is low, but at this point in the race, I was pretty tired. I wasn't really able to get my heart rate up over 173 for the remainder of this race, which, if you're familiar with the course, you'll know that the final 1,200 to 1,400 meters has a really steep incline, and then the last 1,200 meters to the finish falls flat uphill, and today it happened to be a headwind, so it was brutal. But we're starting to rotate now. We're getting in. We're kind of taking turns here. I'm going to pull off, and we're going to keep rotating for a little bit. But again, we're now trying to save as much energy as we possibly can. So the redshift guy here in front of me, rather than pulling through in front of the RCV kid in front of him, he dips in and skips a pull, which, it's racing. It happens, right? So we're all kind of starting to get disorganized here. And we're not really worried about the peloton line chasing or catching us. But we are worried about who is going to do the most work here in this group and who is going to try to save the most for a sprint at the end. And so you can see here the Rock Creek fellow kid is telling us to rotate. If you look behind me, everybody's like, nope, I am not doing a pull. Myself included. I kind of come out here. Part of me felt bad for him, which I know is not good racing, right? It was his choice to get on the front, and that's not a place you want to be with this much left in the race. But I pull through. This is a short kicker here, so it's not like we're going fast and I'm breaking a lot of wind. So I'm going to come through here. I'm going to take a little bit of a pull, but again, we're going uphill, so the draft benefit is not that much. This part here definitely hurt, especially after the gravel section. So for those familiar with the race, the gravel section is somewhere where if you're new to the race, you tend to spend a lot of energy because you come down that hill into the right turn, you have to scrub a lot of speed, and then you tend to use a lot of energy to catch back up. But experienced riders tend to save their energy on the gravel section and actually use it here on these rollers to punish everybody else who just spent a lot of effort on the gravel. And I've definitely been guilty of the former, where I spend too much energy on the gravel, and by the time I come out, I'm gassed, and then I have nothing for the kickers. So, you live and you learn. But we're going to keep fast-forwarding here. Again, kind of rotating in and out. The Rock Creek Velo person on the front is doing the majority of the work from now, basically, until the end, until it kind of splits apart, and we'll get to that. But this section was pretty fast. It was pretty fun. It was mostly downhill. Again, nice rollers. I'm kind of in the wind, but I'm only doing 190, 250, close to 300 watts. Nothing too crazy. I could be better about getting on the draft, but I'm feeling good. I think in my head, I'm starting to picture what the ending is going to look like. And for me, personally, at this point, I want it to stay together for a sprint. So I did this race last year, and it came down to a field sprint. I did decent. I got 4th with a big pack. And I want it to come down to that again, because I'm not confident that I have enough energy in my legs to go from further than 300 or 200 meters. If somebody tries to go early, like with 1,000 meters to go or more, I don't think I could follow. And you'll see later on how it kind of unfolds, especially with using the features towards the end of the race. But if you can hear the audio, this kid is yelling at us to pull through. Again, me being a slightly more savvy racer than I have been in the past, I'm not going to pull through unless the group actually decides to, organize and pull through. Part of me feels bad for the kid, right? He's saying, this is ridiculous, you guys need to pull through, like, come on. But at the end of the day, like, now is the time to play mind games, right? Like, what we don't see in this video, and what I didn't record, unfortunately, is how cohesive it was up until now. We were really, really good about rotating out, carrying our speed, and that's how we were able to get so much time on the peloton, right? But now, now it's the cat and mouse, who's going to do what. And I think about right here, he's saying, I can't keep pulling us all around. But, again, racing is racing, man, I'm sorry. But my heart rate right now is good. 156 is actually really low for a race. Unlike a crit that's a little more, like, consistently high heart rate, this road race, again, because the breakaway was pretty cohesive, I was able to draft and save some energy, so my heart rate's low now, but that doesn't mean that my legs don't hurt still. So I'm definitely still feeling it here. And so this is a key moment in the race. We're coming down this hill, we're going to come down across a creek, and then it's going to be a steep uphill, a right, a left, and then about 1,200 meters to the finish. And this is pretty much the race-winning move coming up. So I'm coasting, I'm drafting behind Phil right here, and Stefan on Badley's right here on my left. And Stefan's going to do something really smart. So there are slower riders coming up on the right, and I don't know how he finds this gap, but basically halfway up this hill right here is when he starts to go. And he puts in a huge dig, uses the slower riders as kind of a wall for the rest of us, and I have no choice but to follow. This late in the race I have to, there's no other option. And I put out as much power as I could, and in the race, it felt like I was closer to him, but looking back at this video, I was not close to him at all. And you can see behind me, it just splits the entire break apart. So the District Taco person was able to catch my wheel, and then Redshift person behind him, and the rest of it is just absolutely torn to shreds. Rock Creek Velo Kid, again, sorry, but racing is racing. He's stuck back there in the pink helmet, right? And this stretch here, this is a false flat all the way to the finish, and it's a headwind. And so right now, I am just absolutely dogging it. Like 380 watts, consistent, just absolutely dying 1,000 deaths. Redshift guy comes over me, actually manages to bridge to Stefan, which is incredibly impressive. I give him mad props. And right behind me right now is the District Taco person. Now, one of the things that I did wrong in this scenario, and again, you'll see this as we get closer to the finish, I should have made the District Taco guy pull more. So I did a lot of the work pulling him along, and it obviously benefited him because he was sitting in my draft. But I didn't want the pace to slow too much because I didn't want the rest of the break behind to catch us. And what I cut out here, because we're skipping forward, but the District Taco person did like one pull for maybe like 30 seconds, but then the rest of this whole entire straight, I was doing the work, which again, hindsight, should have flicked him through, should have sat up, should have drafted off him because maybe I could have had something left at the sprint. So now we're like 200 meters to go. I am absolutely fried, and he comes around me. He gets third, I get fourth. Great race. Did I make some mistakes? Sure. I should have made him pull more, but I had nothing left in the tank at the end. I felt great about how I did. I thought I could win this race coming into it with how my fitness has been, but Stefan is really, really strong, and the circumstances are what they are.
It's post-race recap.
Post-race recap.
I got a mechanical, but Aaron did amazing. That was a great race.
Spencer.
Yeah.
In 3 words.
Really fun race. Aaron crushed it.
This is not me fishing for compliments. Owen?
Took a lap to settle in. By then, Aaron was a minute and a half ahead of us.
Okay, stop giving me compliments. Sean, 3 words. How'd it go?
I'm glad you went, so we have to like do it.
Yeah, because
Adam, 3 words.
they gave me a number.
You can say as many words as you want.
Crap frame bad.
Neutral zone. Crap. Dude, that fucking sucks, man. I'm sorry.
Second one. Hey, Sylvia.
Breakaway stuck. Got 4th.
Aaron got some good photos of you.
As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Dude, my fucking rear brake was rubbing.
Oh my God.
God damn it.
That's why, dude. You gotta